Gentlemen, a recent debate online has been ignited by the one place where we get all of our received wisdom these days, TikTok. A woman decided to do a TikTok on why she thinks that men, it doesn't actually matter what woman they're with, it has no bearing on it. Men actually just marry the first woman that's in front of them when they're ready to commit.
So I don't know if you're about to trash this, Connor, but there's kind of some truth in that, though, isn't there?
We'll watch the TikTok in a moment,
yeah.
and we'll discuss it. So in this segment, I'm going to explore why that might be true, but beware of the woman in your proximity when you think you're ready to commit, because we're going to explore the price of marrying the wrong woman, and there are many of those about today. If you want to learn the value of family, marriage, and settling down, you can go and pay £5 a month to access all our premium content on the website. To watch Josh's Contemplations series, he did this one with Carl about the value of family. Turns out that men's life expectancy, their income, and all sorts of different metrics that seem to value life success and well-being go up as soon as they have a wife and kids. So I know it's really expensive out there, but go and sire your legacy, kings. You deserve it. Right, on to the TikTok, because we've got to listen to women's terrible opinions. Let's listen to why men only marry the women in front of them.
Get it out of my mind. Men marry the woman in front of them at the time they are ready to get married. Let's talk about it. So I was scrolling through TikTok one day, as we all do, and I came across this photographer. She's obviously been at a lot of weddings, and she observed that the men were marrying the woman in front of them at the time that they were ready to get married, implying that that wasn't necessarily that man's soulmate or that man's love of his life. It was just the girl he was dating at the time he was ready to get married and settle down. Like, when you decide, especially a man, when a man decides that he is financially and emotionally ready for marriage and ready to settle down and ready to start a family, he takes a way different approach to dating. That part in his brain of like, oh, there's another girl out there, shuts off. Because now his focus is on marriage. It's not in finding the next best thing. Are y'all following? Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? I need to know.
Can I make a really petty point? I wish she weren't right in any way just because she has an insufferable accent. And I wish we would have listened to someone far more eloquent put it that way. But this was the TikTok that went viral. You're grinning. Go on, do you think she's made a compelling case?
I don't think I did that, but then I would, wouldn't I? But I've definitely seen mates do that. I mean, I know one guy. He's a lovely bloke. Fantastically good looking. You ask him about Tinder, and he says, "Yeah, I completed it." I mean, he kind of went through one a night for about several years, and then one day he basically just decided, right, I'm married to get married now, and basically the next girl on the list, he ended up marrying her. So, you know, we've all seen examples in our life of guys who have done this. So she's not entirely wrong.
I think it's a consequence of women wanting to date men that can command a relationship, because why would they not want to date a man that's better than them? Otherwise they'd feel like your mother. And so if the man dictates the terms of the relationship, like how women gatekeep access to sex, men will gatekeep access to a relationship to secure commitment. When a man is ready to settle down, he will make much more of a investment in a single woman that is nearby him when he is ready to do so. And it's funny that she frames it as, the best woman for him, or it might not necessarily be his soulmate. When have you ever heard, I mean, this is a Patrice O'Neill bit, when have you ever heard a man go to all his boys, right, lads, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the club tonight and we're going to meet the last one we're ever going to be with. Put it in, 1, 2, 3, soulmates! Like, men don't speak in that term.
Women love that whole soulmate concept, but it's obviously nonsense. But
it sets an impossible standard, because it also means that the relationship wouldn't require constant maintenance, and you're not going to fight, and you're going to be perfect for each other. And that may be one of the reasons why women initiate a lot of divorces, because they're thinking, compared to the platonic ideal of a relationship I have, where the man is so desperately in love with me and he serves me and he's always a good listener and he pats my hand when I tell stories. My current husband, who is run ragged by providing for me, he doesn't satiate all my emotional needs, so my soulmate must still be out there. So I'm going to take half his stuff and bugger off, which is not a very healthy way to do things.
Yeah, women in the early stage of their life, they're always sort of looking to trade up. I mean, it does shift to a more security-focused mindset as they get a little bit older. But yeah, certainly younger women, it's all about, who's the better guy. And you can sort of imagine the meme of Lois Lane being carried by Superman, and she's thinking to herself, can I do better?
Yes.
That's how they work.
But it's also a lot of the time that woman has a higher body count than the communist China. I'm ready to settle down. Ladies, don't put out too often. But to the gents out there, we're not going to leave you out in the cold with advice. Sure, you may decide to marry a woman at the time that you're ready. Just be sure the woman in closest proximity is of a decent character and you vet her first. Or you're going to end up like this. Ladies and gentlemen, the cop cuck. 4 Nashville police officers fired for having sex on duty with female officer, also fired, who hosted Girls Gone Wild hot tub party with colleagues and their wives where she took her top off and drank heavily. This is Officer Megan Hall, which you said you hadn't heard of.
No,
so today we're gonna go on a very sordid journey.
Oh, it's her. I keep seeing that picture on Twitter all the time, and I scroll past it. So I'm glad I'm going to find out what's going on.
I'm not surprised you scrolled past it, because if we're just talking purely physiognomy here, I would suggest that in order to court male attention, she would need to be a bit easier, wouldn't she? She's not exactly the best looker. She looks like. Have you ever seen those shrunken face memes of Charlie Kirk, where all the features are really crowded together on a giant face? She looks like the moon emoji on an iPhone.
She does that sort of come hither, goer type, yeah.
Yeah, mainly goer, thank you very much. So 4 police officers from Tennessee town Laverne were fired for allegedly having sex on duty with a female cop, who was also fired and accused of taking her top off at what the local mayor called a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party. Patrol officer Megan Hall of Laverne Police Department is at the forefront of the investigation after it was revealed in December that she engaged in a sexual relationship with at least 4 male officers. Fellow patrol officers Juan Lugo Perez, Lewis Powell, Detective Seneca Shields and Sergeant Henry Ty McGowan admitted to the accusations, according to the report, with Shields claiming he had oral sex with Hall in the department's gym while on duty. Hall, who is married, is also accused of revealing her breasts while at a steamy family Memorial Day boat party with patrol officer Patrick Magalocco. Americans get easier to say names, who was suspended, and fellow officers David Durham and Eric Statz. Magliocco said that Statz himself, Durham and Hall were in the hot tub when Hall's top came off before he and Hall went off to have sex in the bathroom, the report reads. K9 officer Larry Holliday, not in the way you're thinking, and the patrol officer Gavin Sherbert were also suspended and charged with sexual harassment after exchanging sexual images with Hall. The hot tub party, also attended by several of the male officers' wives, was hosted on Stat's boat. Magliocco was seen pouring vodka down Hall's throat moments before she took off her top. The report reads that Hall's top came off and Stat's helped her put it back on because he was trying to protect her.
It was just the K9 officer got suspended. Fido didn't get suspended as well, did he?
We're not going to talk any more about that on YouTube because Dev already got suspended for that exact topic.
Right.
Hall was open about her relationships with the other officers and once bragged to Magliocco about Officer Powell's concealed weapon after performing oral sex on him while on duty, according to the report. Durham and Statz claim they didn't have an inappropriate relationship with Hall, but Powell, who is married, initially denied having a sexual relationship with Hall several times and claimed that everybody knows she has multiple partners. He later confessed to also shagging her. Magliocco told investigators on December 13th that he and his wife had been in an open relationship with Hall since spring 2022. He revealed one day that Hall's husband walked in on her and his wife and wasn't on board with the open relationship. At one party, Hall and Magliocco's wife started kissing, and Hall's husband came in the room and seemed upset, the report reads. Hall appeared to keep her sexual relationships a secret from her husband and asked other officers to borrow money to book hotels. So his wife is off getting horrendous tramp stamp tattoos, by the way, according to her own TikTok. Having sex with pretty much all of her colleagues and their wives, just flashing on boat parties on Memorial Day and getting absolutely hammered.
She's doing a bit for the diversity, though. I mean, she doesn't discriminate.
Yeah. She doesn't really have much of a type, does she? Like, as your husband, you would feel a little bit unnerved.
Yeah.
I mean, the jokes just continue to write themselves, though, because she was almost suspended beforehand. Because if we go on to the next one, Megan Hall was nearly disciplined twice, not in the way you're thinking, before she was sacked because she crashed her cop car. So,
right,
not quite the expert rider we were expecting.
Yeah.
Megan Hall was booted off.
That's one beyond can't walk straight when you can't drive straight either. Must have been a good night.
Oh, God. I mean, look at that face. Why were you so eager to... Come on. The makeup doesn't even help. That's just... Lads, low
men
standards.
don't need a reason, they just need a place.
There is not enough whiskey in the world for... No, you know what? No, right. Laverne was nearly booted off last month when an internal probe revealed... Internal probe? Oh dear. She had performed oral sex while on duty, whipped off her bikini top at a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party, and pestered another officer for a freeway with his wife. But DailyMail.com can now reveal the shameless siren, 26, good pun, was already on her last warning after she cost her bosses thousands of dollars in damage and even landed herself in the hospital in a series of preventable car accidents. So while giving chase at an intersection, she got rear-ended.
I'm not going to say it.
No. Also, the memes write themselves. She has a TikTok account, and we have footage here of her going for a fantastic ride. If we click that, John. Yes. For our audio listeners, she is on top of a bull, giving a real good go of it.
Yeah, she. I bet you could turn that up to maximum and she'd stay right where she was.
Mm-hmm. It's the new washing machine. The pair have been sweethearts since their college days. If you're implying she didn't cheat on him while at college, I have a bridge to sell you, pal. Got married in November 2018, and in March of last year they bought their first family home in Manchester, 60 miles south highway patrol. So her department, so he was going to work there, and then decided to pull out because of the scandal engulfing his spouse, and instead took a job as a deputy. I have offered and extended to him any resource he needs, and all he says is, Sheriff, I just want to work for the citizens of Coffee County, and I love what I'm doing. I don't condone what went on at Laverne Police Department, but he sure hasn't broken any laws. He's the victim there. There's not a blemish on his record. He's doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, there's a deeper dynamic going on here. So, they got together.
Poor choice of words.
When they were in their late teens or something like that. And at that sort of age, women's pulling power is sort of way above men of the same age.
Yes.
But then, sort of as you go into your 30s, it starts to catch up and meet and maybe even cross somewhere around that point.
Yeah,
so,
it's the phrase of women age like milk, men age like wine.
Yeah. So, he's in this whole mindset that he can't afford to lose her.
He absolutely can.
Yeah.
If anything,
big time.
Mate, you'd lose a lot less by just ditching her, chucking her to the curb.
His options have significantly improved at this point, and I would say, certain quality options for her, probably not.
Yeah, there's a photo of him in here, John, in his sort of park rangers uniform. Yeah, he's not the ugliest of blokes. He's a bit chubby. He's a little bit beta-ish, but he's not her level. Yeah, look, seems like a perfectly happy chap. You need a bit more confidence, pal.
Good square jaw and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lose a bit of weight while walking around the parks, and you'll be fine. She clearly has absolutely no standards, no morals, no soul. Ditch her, pal. I don't know what the hell you're doing. Absolutely. So, laughter aside, let's look at Michael Knowles had a good take on this, I think. Just waiting for this to load. So, someone tweeted at him, Michael, is this a good enough reason for divorce? This is not a troll question, I'm being sincere. Because Michael Knowles and many of the other hosts of the Daily Wire have been flat out against no-fault divorce. They think it's been a terrible consequence for civilization. But as a devout Catholic, Michael Knowles is probably going to go by the biblical standard of, yeah, adultery's kind of fine. But he's pointed out that, strange as it may sound to modern culture, no. So, we've totally inverted the morality of what you can divorce for. So if a woman just isn't feeling it, if you're not her soulmate, she can walk away with half your income for the rest of your life. But if she wants to engage in an open marriage, unilaterally, without the man's consent, he's expected to stick by her because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, when no-fault divorce came in, it did lead to a lot of divorces. And someone of my age, who's sort of that halfway point between Gen X and millennials, the school that I went to, basically everybody's parents were divorced. It was just a sort of social phenomenon at that time. And the reason that I disagreed with that original TikTok in the video beginning at the start was because I did sort of take quite a long time with my now wife. We sort of stayed engaged for a good sort of 3 or 4 years because I wanted to be absolutely certain that when I went into this, it's one thing calling off an engagement, it's quite another thing calling off a marriage. I wanted to say, once I'm in this, I'm going to be in it.
Yeah.
And obviously, a lot of people are just not thinking ahead like that.
But the Quartering had an also very good take. I would like to say this. We can sit here and laugh about the fact that women post their L's online. This was obviously posted to women posting their L's online. He said, the face of availability over attraction. Men often pretend looks matter, but when nobody is looking, they really change their tune.
Yeah.
Don't project onto all of us, mate. Also, they all guaranteed knew that their boys ran through her too, so she was the office fleshlight. She's taking all the heat for this, but this is an L for men. Now, not all men, but there are quite a few of them implicated in this that were willing to go there when they knew she had no standards, was married, looked like that, and was a sleeve for all of their other colleagues. Lads, come on. Don't stick it in crazy. All right. Now, there's a less humorous example that I wanted to end on here. Because, again, this isn't just ragging on adulterousness. This is saying the consequences of marrying the wrong person. And obviously, marriage is not just for you, right? There were no children involved in that last one. So he is actually entitled to walk away, and he really should find a better woman. This is a scenario where there are kids involved. There's his son involved. And marriage, this is my frustration with actually Matt Walsh's appearance on Joe Rogan, where he couldn't defend traditional marriage because he kept saying that it's for a man and a woman. No. Marriage is for the kids that result out of it, because you should be together, you should solve your problems, because the kids are entitled to a home environment they were brought into to be stable and conducive to them being raised properly. That is the biggest risk here. And unfortunately, if you marry the wrong woman and have kids with the wrong woman, it's not just she can take the kids, it's that she can turn your son into a daughter.
Yeah, and so this story I have heard. And
yes,
it
there is an
awful.
update. There is an update to this. I believe we've covered it on the website before, a long time ago. Essentially, a father in Texas who was married to a pediatrician, they split up, and his son, so the dad is called Jeff Younger, his son was living with the mother, and he would get joint custody, occasionally see his son, and when his son came over, he started saying, I'm a girl, my mum has been sending me to school called Luna in dresses, they've changed my pronouns, and then when he's around his dad, he would say, no, I'm a boy, because obviously he's a 5-year-old and he's confused, and his dad was taking videos of this, and he was lobbying for the fact, with the legislature, with the divorce courts, the fact that the mum cannot foist this inauthentic gender identity on his prepubescent child. So the update is that they got joint custody, according to the Texas courts. And the mum went to put them on puberty blockers, and they said that, okay, you can't, without both parents' express consent, do any kind of surgical procedure. This should be taken off the table entirely, but I understand that Texas has some blue cities, and it's an uphill battle there. So what's happened is, the mum has just gone, right, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move to California, which is a single-party consent state. Basically, don't ask, don't tell if you want your kids to take chemical castration drugs like Lupron, which was actually used to chemically castrate paedophiles back in the day and should be brought back rather than using it on children. God. She's going to take him to California, he's now 9, and try to have him put on puberty blockers, which means that he never goes through puberty, has diminished bone density, has undeveloped sexual reproductive organs, and basically sets him on the permanent path to irreversible transition. And the dad can't do anything about it because the Texas judges can't stop her from taking her son out of state. Again, pediatrician. So this is... You need to vet better, because this is someone who is meant to be in a medical establishment caring for children, and she's actively mutilating her own son for ideological clout.
I mean, if I was the dad, there is something that I would do, but then...
You can't say that on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I can't.
No.
Then neither parent would see the kid.
Yeah, Tim Pool raised a really good point, actually, at one point when he was discussing this story a little while ago, and he said the kind of Civil War-ish issues, whether or not the original Civil War was actually about slavery or Abraham Lincoln trying to stop the South seceding and economic issues, is beyond it. But the prevailing narrative is the North didn't want slavery, the South wanted slavery, right? Remove all nuances. Let's say something like that happened again. There was a catalyst event, an Archduke Franz Ferdinand shooting event, right? It could be abortion, where one state won't allow it, one state will allow it, and if you cross the lines of one state to then kill a baby in the state that does allow it, will the state you're returning to prosecute you for it? And that could kick off a civil war between Democrats and Republicans. Or something like this. Because a man is trying to stop his child from being mutilated by the pathological mother. One state won't allow it, one state will. So how can you have a country brought together like that? And how can you ever hope to have a happy family if you're going to commit to women who are this insane and this ideologically propagandized against themselves and their own children? It's hard to have a civilization when this is a state of relationships.
And what does it say about our culture today when we are producing women like that?
Yeah. Carl and I have a podcast coming soon. It's nearly 2.5 hours on Simone de Beauvoir's Second Sex. It's the evil origin point of all modern feminism. And frankly, it's almost like the culture has become a devouring sexual dragon of chaos, subsuming everything until we just depopulate the human race. And it's no shock that we're seeing so many societal ills now. So, ladies and gentlemen, mainly gentlemen, of course, if you're going to take a long time to consider buying a new PC part or taking out a loan or buying a new car, make sure that you don't just impulsively marry the nearest woman towards you, because, frankly, you can see all sorts of consequences for you and your children should you pick the wrong one. So apply an even harsher standard to your love life than you do your purchases. Beware marrying the wrong woman, gentlemen.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium articles, this one on the anatomy of the communist, with an audio track for silver and gold tier members, of course. If you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.